The communities of manufacturers who produce food and clothes for the Essians, the communities for hospitals and nurseries, the communities for education, the communities for training messengers, and all other communities, wherein the representatives came according to the instructions of the marshals, and were before the throne. Ahijah said, "The toilers shall not be always toilers, the physicians not always runners after the sick. Whoever is proficient will I exalt. He that can walk shall no longer crawl. Many are wise and strong, and some have passed beyond and boundary of self-desires for self's sake. A child may not have self-desires, but then it lacketh wisdom and strength. A full-grown man or woman may have wisdom and strength, but lack in the abnegation of self. I will make every community a double from this time forth, and one shall be called Maga, and the other shall be called a Manga. Maga shall be my promoted laborers, who are being prepared for the second resurrection, and Maga's labors shall be in concert with Moab, the house of Jehovah. But Minga's labor shall be as heretofore, even with individual affairs and the organizing in new places for the delivered Essians, who are the fruit of the lords and their kingdoms on the earth. Let my marshals select judges to carry out these my decrees in the name of Jehovah." Chapter 16. From the founding of Horeb until the installment of Ahijah was 130 years, and at that time the lower kingdom of heaven was fully organized according to the decree of Jehovah, and the kingdoms of the lords on earth were also fully established. And at that time the earth had passed into Hanshi in the Etherian space, where dwell the Osirian Shrevars, to whom the swift messengers from God had reported the condition of the earth's surface, with the tablets of great and ingrate immortals. The Shrevars said, "The earth hath not attained her fullness. The gases of her low regions must be purified to make more places for mortals." So it came to pass there fell upon the earth by command of the Shrevars, by the will of Jehovah, fire and brimstone and iron and phosphorus, and the shower thereon reached into the 5 dimensions of the earth. But ere the fall thereof a God apprised, and he apprised the lords, and they informed the Ashars, and they impressed such mortals as were in rapport with heavenly things, and the chosen marched away from the places of destruction, so that not one perished, but many of the Asuans were consumed in the fire. But God sent extra workmen and surgeons and physicians from heaven down to such a spirits as were fallen into forgetfulness and disillusion, and commanded that they be engrafted on the surviving Asuans for pity's sake. And this was accomplished through the lords of the earth and their servants the Ashars. At the end of 200 years, God enumerated the people in the lower heaven, and there were, besides the spirits of the Fetals, many of whom were doubtful as to everlasting life, 296 million souls. Of this number there had been raised up to the grade of brides and bridegrooms to Jehovah more than 30 million, who were the first of the earth's production. And now was the sixth generation of the seed of the fallen angels delivered, and this was the fullness of earth bondage for 'em. God summoned the house of Moab for the revelations of Jehovah on the first day of the first year of Dan Hanshi. And when they were thus assembled and had chanted to Jehovah appropriate anthems for the times past, the all-light came upon the God, and he said, Behold, the time of Dan Hanshi is at hand. Ere 3 days pass by, the host from the Etherean heavens will descend to accomplish the resurrection of my host to the regions whence they came 200 years ago. Ha! Summon my lords of the earth and my people of heaven, proclaim my words unto 'em. Ye that people the earth with everlasting life, give ear. The harvest of the new year is ripened. It shall be gathered into the heavens above. Let my people rejoice, for the glory of deliverance is at hand. What? There waiteth full of hope and love in Osirian fields a host of angels and archangels to receive these, the first fruits of the new earth. Clothe them in quietness with the rays of light. Make ready, for Etherean gods and goddesses are setting sail in the regions above to come and deliver us. Proclaim my words in all places in the name of Jehovah, and add unto him a saying, and to as many as desire to ascend, come ye to Moab, in the name of the Son of Jehovah. Messengers went forth both in heaven and on the earth, and proclaimed as had been commanded. And on the third day there assembled in Moab and Horeb 90 million angels to witness the descending and ascending of Jehovah's chosen. And the archangels of Hanshi set 100,000 gods and goddesses to guard Moab and Horeb around about, to dispel and keep away the clouds and sunshine, so as to add glory to the scene. Chapter 17. The Luais came before God, and having organized themselves into one community, so as to make it lawful to speak in Moab, they appointed Gawassa to speak on behalf of the community. Gawassa said, Hear me, O God, in the name of Jehovah. Thou hast ordained me according to the custom of heaven to be a master of generations with mortals, and yet one generation is incomplete. Wherefore I have come before thee. This day I have been summoned by Jehovah through thy messengers, a saying, to as many as desire to enter the next resurrection, come, for the time of harvest is at hand. Thus saith the God, Son of Jehovah, Behold now, another generation do I desire to dwell on the earth. God said, The places of heaven are open to all. If thou wouldst ascend now, do even so. If thou wilt tarry one generation, then thou shalt tarry 200 years. For of such period will be the next harvest. Gawassa said, In Jehovah's name, let my brethren pass before thee in judgment. God said, Jehovah's will be done. Gawassa withdrew and went and told his brethren what was said, and presently they came in and passed in judgment before God. God said, Thou said, Let me pass in judgment before thee. Hear me then, for this is my judgment. If thou sin with thy work incomplete, thou wilt be the unhappiest of men. Remain therefore, for a greater glory is within thy reach. The Luais passed to the left, signifying their determination to tarry it 200 years more with the mortals. After the Luais came others desiring to be adjudged by God, and all who had incompleted work of God said, Remain, and they remained. Besides these were 70,000 Etherians eligible to ascend, who volunteered to remain with mortals another 200 years. Amongst these were the 5 lords in Haja, and 400 messengers belonging to Hored, and 700 women in Fatal, in the western division of Hored under Whaga, Lord of Whaga. Chapter 18. Jehovah spake in the ark of OAHSPE, in the Orion field of Honky-Tonk, in the Etherian heaven. Jehovah said, The time of the earth is at hand. The deliverance of her firstborn will fall at your doors. Come forth, O my sons and daughters, receive ye them from my hand. O Nesya, high aspiring goddess of Honky, and the 1,000 counselors gathered in a host of 5 million souls, emancipated, and to them the dignified Onesya spake, saying, Unlike all harvests heretofore delivered to us from other corporeal worlds, Jehovah sendeth us the firstborn of the earth. Let us rejoice and glorify him, O my beloved. Ascend forth to the boundaries of Honky and proclaim the host of earth appraised. Provide him with mansions and quarters, ye that remain at home, and ye that volunteer to go to the earth to receive him, come quickly. Onesya said, Swift messengers have just come to me with the ark of Wan. It is yea, I'll be there. She it was who bestowed Jehovah's crown on the first god of the corporeal earth. Her host 1,000,000 strong go by the way of Tivius, and pray ye meet him in Oye, and thou wist thou shalt sit on my throne. I will to the earth to receive the 30 million newborn, the glorious gift of Jehovah. O Nisya said, The young virgin earth hath given birth. Oh, the joy of the firstborn! I will take with me a host of singers 1,000,000 strong. Their voices shall have power and sweetness to win the love and adoration of all the 30 million. The glory of Jehovah's work shall shine so brightly upon him that all past shall be forgotten. Hasten, O ye gods and goddesses, let down the curtains of fire. Here begins the play of Jehovah in the management of a new world. Now gathered together men and women, long raised up in the emancipated heavens, whose wills were potent over Agi and Nebula, and swift in appropriating what Jehovah had fashioned in the firmament. And they built a ship the size of which was equal to the width of Horeb, and filled it within with angels of the rank of gauds and goddesses, many a whom had been brought forth into life before the earth was created, and whose native corporeal worlds had gone out of existence. What? And they let down curtains from the ship, and the curtains were like flames of fire, and they reached downward, equal to the breadth of the earth. These gods and goddesses were as a unit in will, and potent and swift workmen, and the ship was a laden and on her course through the vault of the heaven. Past the Aegean fields at Chi-Wang she rode swiftly. Soon the host of the much-loved Etis were seen in a smaller craft, highly polished and swift, a-making a way for OAHSPE. Up goeth a shot of joy from millions of throats, then a song of delight. Heaven is a joyful in Jehovah's boundless dominions, and now the twain approach OAHSPE, and they slacken speed and near each other, nearer and nearer till the ships touch and are joined by skilled workmen. Forth leap the two goddesses, Etis and Onisya, and in no stateliness or ceremony, but like children in whom love is transcendent, and they fly to each other's arms amidst an outburst of joy from the countless throng. Yet onward moves the Etherean ship, majestic and meteor-like, steadily taking a course to the new earth. Chapter 19. And now the evening of the third day had come, and the God and his host in Moab were hastening all things to be ready for the great light that was to descend from the high heaven. The 90,000,000 angels looked upward, watching for the dawning of the light, waiting and watching, and many a one who remembered Etis of 200 years ago wondered if she would return in glory, like when she came and crowned a god by Jehovah's command. Some were robing themselves in white and hastening nervously, like a bride about to wed. Some were half inclined to sorrow for leaving the earth and lower heaven, where they had toiled so long, and some were stately and by their presence said, Thy will be done, O Jehovah. A God ascended the throne, and Ahijah came up and sat on his right hand. And the light of Jehovah shone upon him, so that many newborn, especially of the Essene spectators, could not look upon him. And the God said, One day hath come and gone, this harvest is but 30 millions. Ahijah said, Thy son, O Jehovah, hath shaped the destiny of the world. Great is his glory. A light of golden hue gathered above the throne, and took the form of a triangle. And there was a graven image at every corner, the which when read was IOD. And it was in the character of Wagga, bestowed by the Lord on the altars in the house of worship on earth. And its value was 33 million, which was the exact number prepared for the emancipated heaven in Etheria. And the 33 was the years of a generation of mortals. And the God said, Jehovah is one, the 11 is one, inanimate corpore is one, and these three are the entirety. To each mortals of this OAHSPE is to give a wisdom to the earth. Take thou this triangle, O thou son of the Most High, and as long as the Cephas endureth on the earth shall it be the bequeathed heirloom of heaven, descending from a god to god that occupieth the throne. Thereupon a god stretched forth his hands, and the triangle became fixed and solid, and the god hung it on Ahijah's neck, and in the name of Jehovah, receive thou this jewel as my parting testimonial. Remember that when mortals are raised up to understand this symbol of 3 in 1, then will cosmon begin to dawn on the earth. Ahijah said, O God, thou symbol of 3 attributes, love, wisdom, and power, thou didst leave thy stately home, where thou hadst gods and goddesses for companions, and come to far off earth, which was young and a curtain round with the poisonous gases, to guard the young and imperfect angels of other worlds in their wanderings forth, with thy wisdom, love, and power concealed. Thou didst give 'em liberty and yet redeem 'em. Thou hast stretched forth thy hand over the earth, and made it to yield souls to glorify the Creator. And yet in all the while thou hast never quoted thyself. Oh, that this could be taught to angels and men. Who is it that will not trip or mention himself, or make himself a manifested self? To this day I am to be crowned to fill the place thou hast built up, but I falter and tremble like a child. Ahijah burst into tears, and after a little while he added, O Jehovah, why hast thou laid Ahijah's tears so close? Thou hast created love in my soul, and it hath grown to be a mountain. God, thy son, who hath been my tutor for 1,000 years, and on many worlds, corpore and S, is now thrusting thy glory upon me. God said, Heed thou the earth under heavens, for they are to be thine for one day, and remember also that though I ascend with my host to Etheria, yet I have charge of this world until the completion of this cycle, 2,800 years. My archangels shall henceforth answer to thy prayers to Jehovah. Suddenly a light came down from the firmament like a new star twinkling, with a halo extending wide on every side. All eyes were turned up full of expectancy. Hushed and still the anti-million stood. Presently the star assumed a brighter phase and spread its halo outward, with horns a-descending, like a crescent such as is formed in sacred worship when a god standeth in the midst. Larger and brighter the light grew, and tremulous and waving like sheets of fire, then shot down toward the Horeb and Moab, 3 rays of light piercing in advance of the central orb, and the 3 rays were red, blue, and yellow. But the crescent beyond was white, and it shone abroad over the heavens, so that the corporeal sun and stars in the firmament were invisible. But behold, in the majesty and grandeur of Jehovah's host a-descending, millions of Essenes and clouded souls in the lower heaven, broken fled. Some ran and hid to avoid the threatening light, For such is the magnifying power of the Ethereal flame, that all dark thoughts and hidden evil lurking in the soul are magnified and made so plain that even the dumb can read 'em through. Millions of the Ethereans on gold staff had seen the scenes before, and now stood in glee, firmly riveted by the joy within 'em. To them 101 clung the newly raised from earth, who had never known any other heaven save such as travelleth with the earth around about the sun every year. From these there rose millions of whispers, saying, "It is like a new death, like a new birth. Behold, the man dieth on earth, and his spirit flieth off to another world, and yet now again it flieth off to still another world." Quickly now came the three great rays, foremost a projecting, and there were the orders of marshals from the Aegean fields of Oye and Hanshi. The red lights represented Agi, the blue lights represented Oye, and the yellow Hanshi. And there were marshals of 1,000,000, and they cast the curtains round about to cover all of Hored, the great kingdom. Chief of the marshals was Ajang, and next to him were 5 sub-chiefs, and next to them 1,000 tributary chiefs, who were masters of the ceremonies. And they came in the center of the descending 3 great rays of light, came swiftly and direct toward the throne of God. And the substance of the rays of light were like curtains of cloth, one end of which reached up to the now near approaching a crescent sea of fire. When the light was near a touching on the pillars of fire surrounding Moab, it slackened a little, and then more and more slowly the chieftains leaped from the Ethereal flames and stood at the foot of God's throne, saluting in Jehovah's name. A God and Ahijah stood up and answered the sign, then descended and went to the left and right of Ajang, and they ascended, and Ajang sat upon the throne. And the voice of Jehovah spake through him, saying, "Hold up your heads and rejoice, O my sons and daughters. Behold, I come in a flame of fire. I'm here and there and throughout the place of heaven boundless. I gather together and I put asunder the loves of mortals and angels. For they shall go abroad in my firmament and behold my glorious works. Down to the corporeal world I descend, and carry hence the loved, for they're mine. Woo! I will make all people look up to my kingdoms. Down to the lower heaven I come in ships of a light, a curtain about with Ethereal mantles, and gather in my harvest a new birth to the higher worlds, a more radiant. My host below shall look up and glorify my everlasting splendors. I give the terror, grief, and sorrow and pity, but in its flowing forth I come with holier light and power to stir up the souls of my people. For they shall learn to speak to their Father, who heareth and giveth ear, and is full of love. My joy is in the birth and growing up of souls, and in the joy of their joys, and in the proclaiming of their adoration for my boundless universe. I called to them in darkness, and they came forth. But they halt in the darkness, and I call again, and I send my higher upraised angels to them, and they call also. Yea, I fill the sky with the splendor of my world, heavens, and the corpore, that I may stir man up to rise and enjoy the things I made. The voice of departed aging said, Behold the glory of the heavens, O my beloved, and the reward of the diligent in heart. Jehovah liveth and reigneth, the highest and never to be reached, the forever beyond and yet ever present. O thou light of light and life of life, how wonderful is the substance of thy creation! Thou hast given me light to behold thy splendors, which are forever new. O Jehovah, thou past, present, and future, O one time which is and was and ever shall be. Jehovah, thou seen and unseen and potent, who hast from thy very self imparted a part to all the living, who hast raised up these a horrid glory to thee forever and ever. And now by certain signs and signals Agag directed the officers of his host to take possession of Moab and Horeb, and the marshals extended out around the place, and by their presence added new light to the pillars of fire. The marshals were decorated with colored raiment and signs and symbols, denoting the places whence they came, and their ranks as gods, and the experience they had passed through. When Agag ceased to speak, and the music of the chosen band of descending angels broke upon the place, first faintly and far off, the work of the marshals was in keeping with the time of the music, and as the music drew nearer and stronger, so also more and more of the number of marshals descended and filed off to their respective places. Presently the advance of the horns of the crescent and the cold wave of the fallen sea of fire swept over the lower heaven fearfully and of unquestionable power. By a signal from Miguel, the brides and bridegrooms had joined in the music of the archangels, and great was the glory thereof. Betwixt the horns of the crescent was a star of wonderful beauty, and it came toward the gauds of the throne, reflecting the countless rays of light brilliantly and awe-inspiring. And as the star drew near, it opened on the advanced side as a shell is opened, and there with arms entwined sat Etisya and Onesya, goddesses. Chapter 20. Agag stepped down and stood at the foot of the throne. Masters of the inner temple gathered about the star and unrolled a carpet reaching across the threshold, and the two goddesses stepped forth from the crystal cushion within the star and glided as if on a ray of light up to the judgment seat of Jehovah. Meanwhile the musicians, a million voices, chanted, Glory, glory to Jehovah, creator of worlds, whose place magnificence is, and counterpart to endless time, the all whose great existence surpasseth the grandest thoughts of men and gods. These worlds in splendor are the scrolls on which his hands write with the souls of mortals his almighty will and boundless love. And now did spread out and round about the wheels of the great ship of fire, and all the millions of hosts, men and women, archangels and gods and goddesses, formed a mighty amphitheater in which Moab with his 33 million brides and bridegrooms of Jehovah occupied the arena, themselves arrayed in white, but differently from the redeeming host from the ethereal worlds. In time to the music, without a word of command, moved the hosts. As one person moveth, they in union moved, and even as a shining crystal in the place allotted, and void in nothing, and all so perfect as if Jehovah had made each a special work of wonder to inspire men with a reverence for the talents he had created withal. In the same time the hosts were reforming in place, so was the time of the music, and when the music ceased all was still. The throne was in the east, a face in the west. The hosts of Moab, who were the brides and bridegrooms of Jehovah, occupied the lower plain, and the Etherians surrounded them on all sides, raising higher and higher in the distance. A god and a Hajam met the goddesses at the foot of the throne. A god knew one is hundreds of years before in other worlds, and he remembered it is who had crowned him 200 years ago. So also did Hajam know it is and one is When they met, they all saluted by touching the right hands, and immediately the goddesses ascended to the center of the throne, and the god went on the right and the Hajam on the left. It is and one is looked hopefully on the brides and bridegrooms, but were passive. Presently the voice of Jehovah spake out of the light of the throne, saying, Soul of my soul, substance of my substance, created I man. Out of my corporeal self clothed I him with flesh and blood and bones. Man's spirit I gave from out mine own spirit, ever present, and I quickened him to move on the face of the earth. God and the brides and bridegrooms are responded, being quickened by the old light. Out of corpore I came, quickened by Jehovah's ever presence. By virtue of his wisdom, power, and love came I into the world. To Jehovah all glory is due forever. What? Again Jehovah spake saying, a time I allotted a man to grow, to attain wisdom, power, and love, a time to rejoice and a time of sorrow, a time to beget offspring and know a father's care and love. In likeness of me, to him gave I attributes of my attributes, that man might know me and my love. Response: by the bondage of my love to my begotten, do I know my Father liveth and reigneth, and will watch over me forever. Again the voice of Jehovah said, a time in the corporeal form I gave to man, that he might learn corporeal things, and to learn whence springeth the tree of life. From no self-existence of his own made I man, but from myself, and in the place I quickened him into life I bound him for a season. But when man hath filled his corporeal life, I provide a death to deliver him into a new world. Response: beautiful is thy wisdom, O Jehovah, and far-reaching. I was bound in the flesh even as a beast, likened unto the attributes of a beast was my judgment, a struggling for the things of the corporeal world. With horror I looked upon death as a sore calamity that I value thy cutting me off, but thou deliveredst me into another world, preserving my judgment whole. will, a-bringing me to the heavens of my forefathers. Then Jehovah said, in no time brought I man, newborn into the world, without a mother and a nurse, and rich nourishment to feed him withal. Yea, I gave him angels to inspire him and lift him up, and I provided a Lord of the earth to manage his kingdoms and nations, and a God in heaven with a throne and judgment seat, that man in the angel world should be provided and wisely instructed in soul to comprehend the glory and harmony of my worlds. Response: a bountiful, O my Father above, from nothing that I knew of thou broughtest me into conscious being, and in my helpless days fed me with rich nourishment. Thou gavest me rulers and examples of government on the earth to discipline my soul to the order of men. And when I was born in heaven, I found God on his throne, and well-ordered haven of rest, with willing angels to clothe me and feed me and teach me the ways of thy kingdoms in the firmament. Again Jehovah said, when man had fulfilled his time in the lower heaven, I prepare him by ample teachers for a higher resurrection. As brides and bridegrooms my host adorn them, and I come in a sea of fire. First was man wedded to the earth by me solemnized, and without man's knowledge. Then to the lower heaven was he wed, laboring with spirits immortals. The voice departed, and now one Esya spoke, a-saying, Behold the brides and bridegrooms of Jehovah. When they were young they were wed, first to the earth and then to the lower heaven, without their wills. Now they stand before the throne of God. In thy name, O Jehovah, I command them to speak their wills. Response: I put away myself for thee, O Jehovah. Make me one with thee. I put away the earth for thy kingdom's sake, O Jehovah. Make me one with thee. I put away thy Lord and thy God, O Jehovah, for the sake of thee. Thy Lord and thy God raised me up and made me strong. But lo, the small spark of thyself within my soul hath grown to be a giant, bowing to none but thee, O Jehovah. Oh, make me thy bride or bridegroom, O Jehovah. One Esya said, the lame and the weak shall have a crutch, but the glory of the Father is to see his brides and bridegrooms walk alone. However, to Jehovah is wed, shall nevermore to this man nor that man, nor woman, no Lord, nor God, nor to any person or thing, for self's sake say, Helpa. Response: God and the Lord were my Saviors. Without him I had never known thy exalted heavens, O Jehovah. Thy Spirit calleth me forever upward. Thy Lord and thy God taught me to look upward. Yea, they prayed for me. Now am I strong before thee, O Jehovah. Henceforth will I pray to thee only, but never for mine own benefit, nor for glory, nor for ease, nor for rest, nor for exaltation, but that I may be quick and strong and wise to do thy will forever. When Esya said, brides and bridegrooms of Jehovah, all hail, all hail. A response, a voice of Jehovah, all hail, all hail. One Esya said, to Jehovah and his everlasting kingdoms are ye wed forever. Response, to thee, O Jehovah, am I wed forever. One Esya said, to be one with him forever. Response: to be one with Jehovah forever. The voice of Jehovah said, They shall judge from my judgment seat, and them shall my wisdom shine, for they are mine forever. Response: to consider thee first in all things, O Jehovah, shall I henceforth forever. The voice said, Behold, I have woven a crown for him, adorn him for my sake. Response: I will have no crown save that which is woven by thee, O Jehovah. For thy sake will I wear thy crown forever. The voice said, Behold, they that were sons and daughters have become my brides and bridegrooms. They are mine forever. Response: I'm Jehovah's forever. When Esai said, Pass before the throne, O my beloved. The testimony of Jehovah awaiteth his redeemed. Ha! Ye shall dwell in the emancipated kingdoms of forever. And now the host of brides and bridegrooms pass singly before the throne of God. The whole 33 million passed, and the Essenors chanted a hymn of glory, and they there came down from the firmament above mists of yellow, blue, and red, and the mist fell into the archangel's hands who stood about to the throne. And by them was covered into the crowns that which were placed on the heads of the brides and bridegrooms, and on the crowns were the words, In Wan brought forth, delivered in Hanshi. As the hosts passed in front of the throne, one Esai said, By that which springeth out of the earth is the atmospherian fed and clothed, but the Etherian draweth from the Etherian worlds. Behold, the crowns of the earth and the lower heaven are but symbols of power, wisdom, and love. But that which I bring from Jehovah's kingdom containeth real virtue. And lo, and behold, the brides and bridegrooms became as archangels by virtue of the crowns from Jehovah's hand. What? Chapter 21. When the ceremonies were ended, when Esai said, So now in the name of the Father will we rise and go a long journey, and that ye may be apprised and consorted in love, I proclaim the freedom of the hour in Jehovah's name. And the people went and mingled with each other, rejoicing and saluting. And Hajah and God and Etisyaah greeted one another, and the lords came forward and were also greeted. And then the marshals and the Essenars and all long-serving laborers, and lastly all that had redeemed any man or woman from the darkness to light, came also and were saluted and duly honored. And for the space of 1 hour all the angels indulged in a revelry, reunion, and fullness of heart. But no book could relate the 1000th part of the questions asked and the love assurances expressed. When the hour was ended, one Esai signaled the proper officer, and he sounded the gavel thrice, whereupon all was a hushed and a still. When Esai said, As Jehovah bestoweth a newborn child, so also doth he take the father and the mother away into the Essa world. As Jehovah sent Etisyaah, my sister, to establish the lower heaven, so have I come by his command to bear hence this harvest to his everlasting kingdom. As a child bewaileth the loss of his father and mother, so will ye that remain bewail the loss of this rich harvest of archangels. It is Jehovah's will that ye drink deep of the sorrow of parting, For by this bondage will ye again be reunited in the heavens still above. The progress of the soul of man is forever onward, and in steps and plateau, and the glory of the resurrection on him that goeth before is equally great as is the sorrow of him that remaineth behind. But the love that bindeth together is a chain outstretched across the universe. Nor time nor distance shall prevail against the inventions thereof. What? So if the messengers, well trained to course the vault to heaven, will pass between you a-carrying the tidings of your soul's delight, and as Jehovah giveth the summer to follow winter, and winter the summer, so also shall the time come again and again, forever, in which ye shall mingle and part, again labor together, but in broader fields, and again part for a season. Behold the wisdom of Jehovah in a place, and far apart the places of the souls of men. For all things abiding near together equalize themselves. Even as there is glory in a new birth, so is there glory in a death. As there is sorrow in death, so is there joy in a resurrection. The time is now come when these that ye see, ye shall not see for a long season, but ye shall rejoice in the hour of parting, for they shall rise as brides and bridegrooms to Jehovah. The Essenhours sang an anthem of praise, in which all the host united, and great was the glory thereof. And now one Esya arose a-saying, Jehovah Almighty and everlasting, holy, holy Creator, ruler, and giver forth, look upon this thy Son, Ahijah, O Father, in thy name and by virtue of thy power in me vested, do I perpetuate and crown him God of heaven and earth. Ahijah, now a God, said, Thy will be done, O Jehovah. Then one Esya turned to the 5 chief lords of the 5 divisions of the earth, and bestowed them in like manner. And one Esya stretched forth her hand, saying, Give me a crown, O Jehovah, for thy Son, the God of heaven and earth. And there descended a theory into substance into her hand, and she raised it up, and lo, it became a crown of great beauty, and she put it on a God's Hage's head. Then in like manner did she crown the lords of the earth. And Etisyaah and Winesya came down and sat at the foot of the throne. A God, that being Ahijah, came down, and Wagga and Judah with them, and stretching forth their hands, they said to Etisyaah, Winesya, and Sethantes, the retired God, Arise, O goddess, and go thy way. Arise, O goddess, and go thy way. Arise, O God, and go thy way. And they rose up and marched forth. The proper officers had already prepared the ship for its Ethereal journey. And soon as Etisyaah and Winesya had entered the central star, all the people that were to ascend went into the places assigned to them. A God, that being Ahijah, and the lords returned in tears to the throne. And now the plateau of everlasting light began to ascend. Music sprang from every side, glorifying Jehovah and the magnificence of his bountiful works. And those in the lower heaven were as the echo of the music above, and the light of the ascending a ship of fire made all else as a shadow. But higher and higher it arose, rose in the form of a crescent, slowly turning on its upright axis, turning and rising higher and higher, and the music faded away in the distance. What? In a little while, the meteor-like ascending ship of heaven looked like a star, till further and further off it disappeared in the distance. Thus ascended to the emancipated heavens in Etheria, the first to harvest angels born of the earth. Chapter 22. A God said, "Arise, O lords of my realm, and go to the kingdoms of the earth, which ye received from Jehovah's hand, and may his wisdom, love, and power be with ye all." And the lords departed, they and their attendants, and went to their kingdoms over mortals. And this was the beginning of the second dispensation of the first cycle of the Eotian age of the earth. And the lower heaven was well established in habitations, angels and officers, and in all the requisites for the upraised souls of mortals. And God dispensed laws and government after the manner of his predecessor, enlarging all the places according to the increase of the number of spirits rising up from the earth. And the voice of Jehovah was with the God, and as the first kingdom had been called a Hored, so was the second called a Hored, signifying the place of God. And as it had been with the lords of the earth in their places, so it continued with the new lords, and they enlarged their places also, even according to the increase in the number of inhabitants of the earth. And as it had been of old, that messengers went constantly from Hored to the Lord's places, so did they also continue to do. And by this means all the affairs of the lower heaven were kept in harmony, lords and a God. And a God ruled in Hored 400 years, and Hored spread over all the lands of the earth. Chapter 23. When the time of God and his hosts was fulfilled, Jehovah brought the earth into Dan of Aeon in the Archelaus, where angels descended in a ship of fire and delivered to God his lords and all the host under him, who were prepared for the Etherean resurrection. At this time there were in Atmospheria 625 million inhabitants, and the number of the second harvest was 280 million. After the manner of the ascent of the first harvest, so was the ascent of the second harvest. And the place of the land and of the second harvest in the firmament of the heaven was Laius and Ben, and the grade of the harvest was 78, leaving 2 less than the grade of the first harvest. So the heavens of the earth passed into the care succeeding to God and the lords, who had been raised up and prepared therefore. And for the present there were no more Etherians dwelling in these regions. Jehovah had said, "They that come out of the earth shall be sufficient unto themselves. As a mother provideth for her child, so do I provide for the spirit generations of a corporeal world. But when they are mature in wisdom, strength, and love, I command them to take the places of lords and God in the management of my kingdoms." So it came to pass after the ascent of the Etherians, the whole earth and its lower heavens were under the dominion of such as had sprung up out of the earth. Hence it became a saying, the first was Aetherian rule, the second was atmospherian rule. For the earth had the lords who had been on no other world, and a god who had never been on other worlds. And likewise it came to pass that the atmospherian rulers were more lenient and less tyrannical in their government than had been the Aetherians. For as the Aetherians had forbidden the Esseans, the newly dead, to return to their mortal kindred, even to the 50th year in spirit life, so not so with the present lords and the god, for they indulge hundreds of thousands of Esseans for sympathy's sake to return to their mortal kindred, and these Esseans became not workers in heaven, either for others or for their own resurrection to higher regions, but they became idlers and vagabonds in the lower heaven, oft a living with their mortal kindred till their mortal kindred had died, and then in turn persuading such Esseans to do even as they did. And a god perceived when it was too late that his leniency had laid the foundation for disorganizing the kingdom of a heaven. For strolling idlers, knowing no other heaven, sowed the spirit of disbelief in the places of learning and industry in the lower heaven, persuading others that they were toiling to no good purpose. They said, Behold, it was told us on earth there was a Jehovah, but we're in heaven and yet we find him not. Now do we know of a truth there is no all person. Come then, let us seek ease in the rich viands that rise up out of the earth. A man liveth on the earth and dieth, and his spirit floateth around about, and there is no more of him. Why will ye serve the Lord? Why will ye serve a god? Be ye free and live for yourselves instead of others. Thus it came to pass that little by little the lower heaven began to fall from its high estate. The third Dan was 600 years, and God and his lords, having provided successors, ascended with their harvest to Etheria, and the number thereof was 408,000,000 brides and bridegrooms, and their grade was 66. The fourth Dan was 500 years, and the harvest was 600,000,000 brides and bridegrooms, and their grade was 58. The fifth Dan was 300 years, and the harvest was 200,000,000, and their grade was 50, which was the lowest grade capable of emancipation, or capable of surviving in Etheria. And now darkness set in and covered all the earth around, and from this time until the end of the cycle, which was 3,000 years from the birth of man on earth, there were no more resurrections to the emancipated heavens. The kingdom of Horrid was broken up and dissolved. The spirits loved not to labor and to learn according to Jehovah's plan, but returned to the earth attractions, and they were called Drujas, because they desired not resurrection, and a God and the lords and their officers and teachers were without subjects and pupils, and mortals were beset by thousands and millions of Drujas, so that the Ashars were powerless to accomplish good inspiration. At this time there were more than 3,000,000,000 angels in Atmospheria, and for the most part they dwelt on the earth. Thus ended the first cycle of the first heaven of the earth. End of the book of Sethantes, son of Jehovah. The first book of the First Lords, being contemporary with the book of Sethantes, son of Jehovah. That is to say, as Sethantes was God of heaven, so in the same period of time his lords had dominion on the earth. And this is their book, even as the preceding one was God's book. Chapter 1. In the beginning God created the heavens of the earth, and the Lord made man upright, and man was naked and not ashamed. Neither knew man the sin of incest, but he dwelt as the beast of the field. And the Lord brought the angels of heaven to man. By his side took they on forms like unto man, having all the organs and attributes of mortals, for it was the time of the earth for such things to be. And it came to pass that a new race was born on the earth, and these were called eye-hens, because they were begotten of both heaven and earth. Hence it became a saying, the earth conceived of the Lord. And the name of the first race was Esau, Adam, because they were the earth only. And the name of the second race was Ahin, Abel, because they were capable of being taught spiritual things. What? And the Lord said, of all that live on the face of the earth, or in the waters thereof, or in the air above, that breathes the breath of life, man only have I delivered unto knowledge of his Creator. And the Lord spake unto the eye-hen, through his angels spake he to them, saying, Go hide thy nakedness, for it is the commandment of God. And the eye-hens were afraid, and they clothed themselves, and were no longer naked before the Lord. And the Lord commanded the angels to give up their forms, and to be no more seen as immortals. And it was done. And the Lord said unto him, Because ye brought forth life which is in flesh and blood, ye shall minister unto man for 6 generations on the face of the earth. And it was so. And that man may continue to walk upright, we shall teach him the law of incest, for man of himself cannot attain to know this. Neither shall ye permit the eye-hens to dwell with Esau, Adam, lest his seed go down in darkness. And man was thus inspired of the Lord, and he walked upright and prospered on the earth. But after a season man became conceited in his own judgment, and he disobeyed the commandments of God, and he strayed out of the garden of paradise, and began to dwell with the Esauians, Adams, and there was born into the world a new race called Druk, Cain. And they had not the light of the Father in them, neither could they be inspired with shame nor of heavenly things. And the eye-hens were grateful to the Lord, and they gave sacrifice and burnt offerings. And they said unto the Druks, Go ye and sacrifice unto the Lord, and he will prosper you. But the Druks understood not, and they fell upon the lords chosen, and slew them right and left, taking their possessions. And the Lord said unto the Druks, Because ye have slain your brethren, ye shall depart out of the place of God, and that ye may know to the ends of the earth I put my mark upon you. And the mark of the Lord put upon the Druks was the shadow of blood, which being interpreted as war. And the Lord God said, By this sign shall the tribes of Druk and their descendants be known unto the end of the world. And woman, being more helpless than man, cried out with fear, saying, O Lord, how shall I bring forth unto thee, and not unto the sons of death? And the Lord said, Because thou hast brought forth in pain, and yet called on my name, behold, I will be unto thee as a shield and protector. For I will also put a mark upon the eye hens, my chosen, so thou shalt know them when they come unto thee. And the Lord commanded the male eye hens, old and young, to be circumcised, that woman might not be deceived by the drooks. And the eye hens circumcised one another, old and young, for it was the testimony of the Lord unto woman, that seed of their seed was born to everlasting life. And the drooks came, went away into the wilderness, and dwelt with the Asuans and with one another. And God said, A boundary line will I make betwixt the tribes of drooks and the eye hens. And this is the line that I, the Lord God, made betwixt them. The eye hens shall labor and clothe themselves, and I will abide with them. But the drooks shall wander in the wilderness, neither laboring nor clothing themselves. And it was so. Chapter 2. The time of the habitation of Asu was 8,000 years, and they survived 2,000 years after the time of the birth of the eye hens, which is to say, Asu dwelt on the earth 6,000 years, and then conceived of the chosen of God, and after that survived yet 2,000 years. And Asu, Adam, disappeared off the face of the earth, and there remained on the earth the sacred people, the eye hens, and the carnivorous people, the drooks. The eye hens were white and yellow, but the drooks were brown and black. The eye hens were small and slender, but the drooks were tall and stout. Now, because the drooks had not previously obeyed the Lord, but went and dwelt with the Asuans, there was a half-breed race born on the earth called the Yak, signifying ground people, and they burrowed in the ground like beasts of the forest. And the Yaks did not walk wholly upright, but also went on all fours. And God said, Because the Yaks cannot be taught the crime of incest, behold, they shall not dwell forever on the earth. So also shall it be with the drooks, save wherein they cohabit with the eye hens, whose seed is born unto everlasting life. But with the drooks and their heirs that spring from the Yaks, there shall be an end both in this world and the next. And the arms of the Yaks were long, and their backs were stooped and curved. And the Lord said, Because they are the fruit of incest, and not capable of speech, nor of eternal life in the heaven, the eye hens shall make servants of them. And that they may not tempt my chosen to bring forth fruit unto destruction, they shall be neutralized in my sight. And the angels of God taught the eye hens to make eunuchs of the Yaks. The males and females made the eye hens eunuchs of the Yaks, and took 'em for servants. And the Lord said, The Yaks shall serve the eye hens, and build and sow and reap for 'em. And it was so. The eye hens were disposed to live alone, but the Lord called them together, saying, Come and dwell together in cities, for it is meet that ye live after the manner of my kingdoms in heaven. Build ye therefore unto the Lord your God, and my angels shall dwell with you, teaching you to sing and dance for the glory of your Creator. And a man built unto the Lord and established a worship on earth after the manner of heaven. Now it came to pass that the drunks came to witness the rites and the ceremonies of the chosen, but they took no part therein, neither comprehended they the meaning thereof. And the God said unto the hens, that ye may teach some of them of the Lord your God, build ye within the house of worship an image of me, in likeness of man build ye it, and I will manifest unto as many as are capable of everlasting life. And the hens, men and women, with their servants, built the images of stone and clay and wood unto the Lord, and stood 'em by the altars of sacrifice. And in the time of worship the angels of the Lord came and possessed the idols, and spake therefrom, with audible voices spake before mortals. And the drunks inquired of the hens as to the cause thereof. And the hens said, Behold, there is a God in heaven, more subtle than the air of heaven.